How Hannibal crushed Rome at the Battle of Cannae, 216 BC. The Second Punic War and the rise of Hannibal Barca. What happens when a brilliant general, fueled by a burning desire for revenge, confronts the mightiest military force of his time? How did Hannibal, with his seemingly outmatched Carthaginian army, turn the tide against Rome in a battle that would be remembered for centuries? The Battle of Cannae wasn't just a fight, it was a clash of wills, a testament to strategy, and a moment that forever changed the course of history. But what truly happened on that fateful day in 216 BC, when Rome's legions were brought to their knees? Why did the most powerful army in the world fall so spectacularly? Join us as we unravel the mysteries, strategies, and human stories behind one of the most devastating defeats in Roman history. The Battle of Cannae, fought on August 2, 216 BC, was not merely a clash of armies but the culmination of deep-seated animosity between two ancient superpowers, Rome and Carthage. This enmity traced its roots back to the First Punic War, 264 to 241 BC, a conflict that saw these two Mediterranean giants vie for control of Sicily, a wealthy and strategically crucial island. Rome, a burgeoning republic with ambitions of expansion, had set its sights on Sicily as a stepping stone to greater influence in the Mediterranean. Carthage, a powerful maritime empire based in North Africa, viewed Sicily as vital to maintaining its own regional dominance. The war that ensued was brutal and protracted, lasting 23 years, with both sides suffering heavy losses. By 241 BC, the First Punic War drew to a close, leaving Rome victorious. The Roman Republic, with its superior land forces and relentless determination, had worn down Carthage, forcing the North African power to sue for peace. The Treaty of Lutatius, which ended the war, was humiliating for Carthage. It required them to surrender Sicily, pay a crippling indemnity to Rome, and withdraw from key territories. This defeat not only marked Rome's rise as a dominant Mediterranean power but also planted the seeds of bitterness and desire for revenge in the hearts of the Carthaginians. In the aftermath of the First Punic War, one family in Carthage emerged as the embodiment of resistance against Roman domination, the Barcas. The patriarch of the family, Hamilcar Barca, was a brilliant general who had fought valiantly against Rome during the war. Despite the Carthaginian defeat, Hamilcar had not lost his spirit or his determination to challenge Roman power. Hamilcar had 3 sons, all of whom were raised with an intense hatred for Rome. The eldest of these sons was Hannibal, born around 247 BC. From a young age, Hannibal was steeped in military tradition and the desire to avenge Carthage's humiliation. According to legend, when Hannibal was just 9 years old, his father made him swear an oath of eternal enmity against Rome. This vow would shape Hannibal's life and drive him to become one of history's most feared military commanders. Hannibal's upbringing was marked by rigorous training in warfare, strategy, and leadership. His father, Hamilcar, took him on campaigns in Spain, where Carthage was expanding its influence. These early experiences on the battlefield honed Hannibal's tactical genius and instilled in him a deep understanding of military strategy. Hamilcar's sudden death in 228 BC left Hannibal, then in his early 20s, under the tutelage of his brother-in-law, Hasdrubal the Fair. Hasdrubal continued the expansion in Spain, but it was Hannibal, after Hasdrubal's assassination in 221 BC, who would carry the torch of Carthaginian resistance against Rome. The Second Punic War, which began in 218 BC, was largely ignited by Hannibal's actions in Spain. Over the years, Carthage had rebuilt its strength, particularly in the Iberian Peninsula, where it established a powerful base. Hannibal, now the commander of Carthaginian forces in Spain, was determined to strike at Rome, and he knew that a direct invasion of Italy would be the most audacious and effective way to do so. The immediate cause of the war was Hannibal's attack on the city of Saguntum, a Roman ally in Spain. The siege and capture of Saguntum by Hannibal was a direct challenge to Roman authority and provided Rome with the pretext it needed to declare war. What followed was a campaign that would become legendary for its boldness and sheer audacity. In 218 BC, Hannibal Barca, a master tactician, embarked on one of the most audacious military campaigns in history. His goal was to strike at the very heart of Rome, not by the sea or through the traditional routes, but by leading his army over the towering Pyrenees and the treacherous Alps, a feat considered almost impossible. Hannibal's journey began in Spain, where he had already consolidated power. His forces were a diverse mix, consisting of seasoned Iberian infantry, swift Numidian cavalry, and a contingent of war elephants, the likes of which the Romans had never seen. His army also included recruits from various tribes, all united under his command. The first major obstacle was the Pyrenees, the mountain range that separates the Iberian Peninsula from the rest of Europe. Hannibal's troops faced fierce resistance from local tribes who were wary of his intentions. The rugged terrain was challenging, with steep inclines and narrow passes making the advance slow and dangerous. Hannibal's men had to fend off guerrilla attacks from the tribes who knew the terrain intimately. These skirmishes were relentless, with the tribes employing hit-and-run tactics that whittled down Hannibal's forces and sapped their morale. Yet, through it all, Hannibal remained resolute, personally leading his men through the perilous mountain paths and ensuring their discipline did not falter. After successfully crossing the Pyrenees, Hannibal's army emerged into what is now southern France. Here, he met with more hostility from the local Gallic tribes. Unlike the earlier resistance, these tribes were more organized and posed a significant threat to Hannibal's progress. Through diplomacy and displays of military might, Hannibal managed to secure temporary alliances with some tribes, while others were crushed in swift, decisive battles. The journey continued as Hannibal reached the foot of the Alps. This formidable mountain range was his final barrier before reaching the plains of Italy. The Alps were known for their deadly conditions, towering peaks, deep snow, and extreme cold that could sap the life from even the most hardened soldier. The march through the Alps was a nightmare. Hannibal's troops were not only battling the elements but also the constant threat of ambushes from the tribes that inhabited these mountains. The narrow mountain passes were often choked with snow and ice, causing men and animals to slip and fall to their deaths. The war elephants, so critical to Hannibal's strategy, struggled to navigate the treacherous paths, with many perishing in the cold. Despite the heavy losses and the near-mutinous morale among his troops, Hannibal's leadership shone through. He knew that reaching Italy with even a fraction of his army intact would be a psychological blow to the Romans, who would never expect an invasion from the north. As they descended from the Alps into the fertile plains of northern Italy, Hannibal's remaining troops were a fraction of what they had started with. But those who survived were battle-hardened, fiercely loyal, and filled with a burning desire to fulfill their leader's vision. Hannibal's crossing of the Pyrenees and the Alps was not just a physical journey but a testament to his indomitable spirit and tactical brilliance. His ability to inspire his men, adapt to the harshest of conditions, and overcome seemingly insurmountable odds set the stage for the battles that would follow, a series of encounters that would shake the Roman Republic to its core. The Battle of Trebia was Hannibal's first major clash with Rome on Italian soil, and it was a masterclass in tactical genius. After crossing the Alps, Hannibal's army, though depleted and exhausted, was eager to face the Romans. On the other side, the Roman commanders, Tiberius Sempronius Longus and Publius Cornelius Scipio, were under immense pressure to deliver a swift victory to restore Roman morale. Hannibal, aware of the Roman eagerness, devised a cunning plan. He sent his brother Mago and a small contingent of troops to hide in the thick fog and marshland along the Trebia River. Early in the morning, Hannibal provoked the Romans into attacking by sending a small force of Numidian cavalry to harass the Roman camp. Furious and impatient, Sempronius ordered his men to cross the icy river, unaware of the trap waiting for them. Imagine standing on the front lines of history's greatest battles, feeling the intensity, the fear, and the courage of those who fought to shape the world as we know it. On our channel, European Battle, we don't just recount history, we bring it to life. Through vivid storytelling and immersive visuals, we take you deep into the heart of each conflict, revealing the untold stories, the strategic genius, and the personal sacrifices that changed the course of history. By subscribing, you're not just staying informed, you're joining a community of history enthusiasts who crave knowledge, insight, and the thrill of discovery. You'll gain access to exclusive content that dives even deeper into the moments that defined empires and changed the fate of nations. Don't miss your chance to experience history like never before. Follow us, subscribe, and click the notification button. Together, let's uncover the stories that deserve to be told, and let's ensure they are never forgotten. Join us on this journey through time, and be part of something truly extraordinary. As the Romans crossed the freezing waters, they were met by Hannibal's main force. But the real blow came when Mago's troops, hidden in the marshes, attacked the Romans from the rear, causing chaos and confusion. Caught between Hannibal's forces and the freezing river, the Roman army was decimated. The few who survived fled back to the safety of their camp, leaving thousands of their comrades dead or captured. Hannibal's victory at Trebia sent shockwaves through Rome, showcasing his brilliance and setting the stage for further confrontations. Following his victory at Trebia, Hannibal continued his march southward, drawing the Romans into another deadly trap. The Roman Senate, desperate to stop Hannibal, appointed Gaius Flaminius as consul. Flaminius, a bold but impetuous leader, was determined to confront Hannibal directly, eager to avenge Rome's earlier defeats. Hannibal, anticipating Flaminius's approach, chose the narrow defile between Lake Trasimene and the surrounding hills as the perfect ambush site. On a foggy morning, as Flaminius's army marched through the defile, Hannibal's troops, hidden in the hills, sprang into action. The Carthaginians attacked from all sides, trapping the Romans against the lake. The battle quickly turned into a slaughter, with the Roman soldiers having no room to maneuver or escape. Flaminius himself was killed in the chaos, along with nearly his entire army. This victory further cemented Hannibal's reputation as a military genius and brought Rome to the brink of despair. In the wake of these crushing defeats, Rome appointed Fabius Maximus as dictator. Fabius came from a prestigious patrician family, known for their service to Rome. Unlike the previous Roman commanders, Fabius adopted a strategy of caution and patience. He refused to engage Hannibal directly, understanding that Rome needed time to rebuild its shattered legions and regain its strength. Instead, Fabius used guerrilla tactics, harassing Hannibal's foraging parties, cutting off his supply lines, and avoiding open battle. This approach earned him the nickname Cunctator, or the Delayer. Though effective in wearing down Hannibal's forces, Fabius's strategy was unpopular in Rome. Many believed that a more aggressive approach was needed to finally defeat Hannibal. Rome, a city-state that prided itself on military supremacy, was now reeling from these defeats. The Senate was in turmoil, with senators arguing bitterly over the best course of action. The fear and uncertainty among the Roman populace were palpable, and the once unassailable image of Rome's military might was now in tatters. Amidst this backdrop of fear and political infighting, two men were elected as consuls in 216 BC, Gaius Terentius Varro and Lucius Aemilius Paulus. The consuls were Rome's highest elected officials, each holding supreme command of the army for alternating days. However, these two men could not have been more different in their backgrounds, personalities, and approaches to warfare. Gaius Terentius Varro was a man of humble origins, a novus homo, meaning new man, who had risen through the ranks due to his populist appeal and his ability to connect with the common people of Rome. Varro was ambitious, eager to prove himself in a society that often looked down on those without noble lineage. His rise to power was met with disdain by the patrician class, who viewed him as a political upstart unworthy of his position. Despite this, Varro was determined to make his mark and saw the war against Hannibal as his opportunity. Lucius Aemilius Paulus, in contrast, was a member of the aristocracy, born into a distinguished family with a long history of military service. Paulus was a seasoned general, known for his cautious and strategic approach to warfare. He had previously served as consul in 219 BC and had a reputation for his discipline and tactical acumen. However, he was also a man burdened by the expectations of his class and the immense pressure from the Senate to deliver a victory against Hannibal. Paulus and Varro had both experienced victories in their military careers, but those victories paled in comparison to the challenge they now faced. Hannibal had proven to be a master of strategy, able to outmaneuver and outthink the Roman generals at every turn. The consuls knew that to defeat Hannibal, they would need to combine their strengths, Varro's aggression and Paulus' caution. The Roman Senate, despite its internal divisions, was united in one belief: Hannibal needed to be stopped. The defeats at Trebia and Lake Trasimene had left Rome vulnerable, and the Senate feared that Hannibal's continued success would embolden Rome's enemies and threaten the very existence of the Republic. The consuls developed a plan to confront Hannibal directly, believing that only a decisive battle could restore Roman pride and stability. They raised a massive army, numbering around 80,000 infantry and 6,000 cavalry, the largest force Rome had ever assembled. The plan was simple: use their overwhelming numbers to crush Hannibal's smaller army through sheer force. Varro, with his aggressive mindset, advocated for a head-on attack, confident that the Roman legions could overpower the Carthaginians. Paulus, however, was more cautious. He was aware of Hannibal's tactical brilliance and feared that a straightforward assault could lead to disaster. Despite his reservations, Paulus was pressured by the Senate and the Roman populace to act decisively. The two consuls, though differing in their approaches, agreed on the strategy but planned to alternate command on the day of the battle, each hoping to be the one to deliver the final blow to Hannibal. The Roman Senate, driven by a mix of fear, pride, and determination, mobilized an enormous army, the largest ever assembled in the Republic's history, numbering around 86,000 men. This force was a mix of seasoned legionaries, freshly recruited conscripts, and allied contingents from across Italy. The goal was clear: annihilate Hannibal and end the war decisively. Hannibal, ever the master strategist, had been meticulously planning his next move. He knew the Roman Senate would seek a decisive battle, and he chose the plains of Cannae in southeastern Italy as the ideal battlefield. Located near the Aufidus River, Cannae was an open, expansive area, a flat, featureless plain that seemed to favor the Roman legion's strength in numbers. But Hannibal, ever the tactician, saw the opportunity to turn this perceived disadvantage into his greatest advantage. The Roman army was a formidable force. The 86,000 men were divided into 4 legions, each consisting of about 4,200 infantry and 300 cavalry. Additionally, there were an equal number of allied troops, bringing the total number of legions to 8. These forces were bolstered by about 6,000 cavalry, including Roman and allied contingents. The infantry was the core of the Roman army, composed of 3 lines: the hastati, youngest and least experienced; the principes, more seasoned soldiers; and the triarii, veterans who served as the last line of defense. The Roman legions were known for their discipline, heavy armor, and tight, organized formations, designed to be an unstoppable force on the battlefield. The Carthaginian army, though smaller in number, was a diverse and highly skilled force of around 50,000 men. Hannibal's troops included his trusted Iberian and Celtic infantry, Libyan heavy infantry, and the elite Numidian cavalry, which was famed for its speed and maneuverability. Hannibal's army also included mercenaries from various regions, each bringing their own unique fighting style to the battlefield. This mix of troops, though less uniform than the Roman legions, was highly adaptable and well coordinated under Hannibal's leadership. In preparation for the battle, Hannibal arranged his forces in a crescent-shaped formation. The center was held by the weaker, more expendable infantry, composed mainly of Gauls and Iberians. On the flanks, he positioned his stronger troops, including the Libyan infantry and the Numidian cavalry. The plan was to draw the Romans into the center, where they would be gradually surrounded and encircled by the stronger Carthaginian forces on the flanks. On the morning of August 2, 216 BC, the Roman army, led by Varro, advanced across the plains of Cannae. The sun was already high, and the heat was intense. Varro, convinced that overwhelming numbers would guarantee victory, ordered his troops to advance in a dense, compact formation. His plan was simple: break through the Carthaginian center with brute force and overwhelm Hannibal's smaller army. As the Roman legions moved forward, the Carthaginian center, as planned by Hannibal, began to give way. The Roman soldiers, sensing victory, pressed harder, pushing deeper into the Carthaginian lines. The discipline of the Roman legions, usually their greatest strength, now worked against them as they became more and more compressed within the shrinking pocket of the crescent formation. It was at this critical moment that Hannibal gave the signal. The Carthaginian flanks, composed of the more reliable Libyan infantry, turned inward and began to close around the Roman forces. Simultaneously, the Numidian cavalry, led by the brilliant commander Hannibal, who was known for his quick and decisive actions, routed the Roman cavalry on the flanks and attacked the Roman infantry from behind. The Roman legions, now completely encircled, found themselves trapped in a deadly vice. The battle quickly turned into a massacre. The Roman soldiers, packed tightly together, had no room to maneuver or escape. Panic and confusion spread through the ranks as the Carthaginians closed in from all sides. The discipline that had been the hallmark of the Roman army collapsed as the soldiers were cut down where they stood. Lucius Aemilius Paulus, despite his reservations about Varro's aggressive strategy, fought bravely alongside his men. Wounded early in the battle, he continued to command, rallying his troops in a desperate attempt to break free from the encirclement. His courage, however, was in vain. As the Carthaginian forces tightened the noose, Paulus was eventually overwhelmed and killed. According to some sources, his final words were a curse against Varro for his reckless aggression that led to such a catastrophic defeat. High-ranking Roman officials, including senators and members of the equestrian class, were among the dead. These were men of wealth and influence, who had volunteered to fight alongside the legions in the hope of sharing in the glory of victory. Their deaths only deepened the tragedy of Cannae, as the battle became a graveyard for Rome's elite. Among the few Roman survivors was Gaius Terentius Varro. Despite his role in leading the army into disaster, Varro managed to escape the battlefield. He later returned to Rome, where he was met not with anger but with a grim understanding of the situation. The Senate, realizing the gravity of the defeat and the threat Hannibal still posed, chose not to scapegoat Varro. Instead, they rallied around him, recognizing the need for unity in the face of such a devastating loss. The Battle of Cannae was a disaster of unprecedented proportions for Rome. Between 50,000 and 70,000 Roman soldiers were killed in a single day, and many more were captured. The loss of so many men, including the cream of the Roman nobility, sent shockwaves through the Republic. Hannibal's victory at Cannae became the stuff of legend, a tactical masterpiece studied by military strategists for centuries. Despite this crushing defeat, Rome refused to surrender. The Senate, in a display of resilience, immediately began to raise new legions, calling upon every able-bodied man to defend the Republic. The disaster at Cannae, rather than breaking Rome's spirit, steeled its resolve. Under the cautious leadership of Fabius Maximus and others, Rome slowly began to turn the tide against Hannibal, who, despite his victories, was unable to deliver the final blow against the resilient Republic. The Battle of Cannae stands as a testament to the genius of Hannibal Barca and the indomitable spirit of the Roman people. It was a battle that changed the course of history, shaping the future of Rome and the Western world. These events vividly highlight the dangers of overconfidence, the importance of tactical innovation, and the resilience of a nation under siege. The story of Cannae is not just a tale of military strategy, but a powerful reminder of the human cost of war and the complexities of leadership in times of crisis. Imagine standing on the front lines of history's greatest battles, feeling the intensity, the fear, and the courage of those who fought to shape the world as we know it. On our channel, European Battle, we don't just recount history, we bring it to life. Through vivid storytelling and immersive visuals, we take you deep into the heart of each conflict, revealing the untold stories, the strategic genius, and the personal sacrifices that changed the course of history. By subscribing, you're not just staying informed, you're joining a community of history enthusiasts who crave knowledge, insight, and the thrill of discovery. You'll gain access to exclusive content that dives even deeper into the moments that defined empires and changed the fate of nations. Don't miss your chance to experience history like never before. Follow us, subscribe, and click the notification button. Together, let's uncover the stories that deserve to be told, and let's ensure they are never forgotten. Join us on this journey through time, and be part of something truly extraordinary.